Hello, everyone. It is April 2nd. It is Thursday. It is the morning when I'm recording this, and I am in my workout attire. I got my morning workout in, and I decided I wanted to record a video for us today. But let's keep it real, all right? I'm not as polished. This is how I'm looking today, but I know many of us are. Let's just keep it real and keep it honest. I think that's a good thing, right? Speaking of which, we are now a week and a half into the stay-home orders, and so I want to ask, how are you doing? How are you hanging in there? I'll answer my own question that it's been a hard week. The start of this week was when I first started to really figure out the fact that I'm having a harder time with this than I'd realized, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that in a moment. But I wanted to record this video just to share a few different thoughts, and some of it is a few different things that I've been reading and I've found this past week. One of them was something that was shared by a guy who owns the gym in Arizona where my mom was working out when they were down there for a little while. She passed it on to me. In his email he sent out to the gym, one of the things he said was, "It's important to remember that this quarantine isn't the same for everyone. Some have nothing to do. Some are busier than they've ever been. Some are feeling overwhelmed by kids and family. Some are lonely and depressed. Some are doing fine financially, possibly even thriving. Some are wondering how they're going to pay rent in a couple days. Some are trying to change wedding or event plans and are stressed. Some are closing business doors for forever and are grieving. Some are learning a new craft. And some are very sick or have a loved one that is." I just found this to be a really important reminder that this means something different for each one of us. Each one of us has a different experience depending on what our family or home or work situation is. And so to just give space for everyone and give space for you and whatever this has meant for you, that is something that's okay. Now, this is really unique for each person, but there are certainly some common threads, and one of them is that I would say, this is a traumatic experience, and I don't use that phrase lightly, but this is a situation where everything is happening fast and quickly, and we're having to grapple with this and to really wrap our heads around what's going on. I had a friend that shared, I really like this one, just a simple epithet. We're not working from home, those of us who are working at home. We're at work during a crisis trying to work. And I know some of you doing the working home thing. I think for me, that's been an important mentality shift from the space of, well, how can you maintain your productivity while being at home and be more productive and keep everything going like nothing's wrong? And shifting from that kind of a mindset to instead saying, how can we best take care of ourselves while navigating a really, really difficult set of circumstances? Framing it in that kind of a light, recognizing that we're going through a crisis moment as a nation and as a world. It reframes what it is that the main goals are for this season for us. And so what if that's really trying to walk in each day with what it has? So I want to share a little bit for me. As I mentioned, the start of this week was pretty rough. It was when it finally hit me that, a week into this stay-at-home orders, that this is having a bigger effect on me than I'd ever realized. That staying at home and feeling isolated has been really, really hard on me. Now, how I figured that out, it wasn't like it was super straightforward. I know most of our emotional lives are like this, that it's not always, right away we're aware of what we're feeling emotionally. It wasn't, wow, here's the feeling that I have. It was more, wow, I'm finding myself staying up really late for no reason. Wow, I am easily getting sucked into a screen and watching shows and numbing my brain. Or, wow, I am eating food when I am not hungry at very weird times of the day in order to feel something. It was noticing those things were going on and then realizing, what's going on there? Why is that cropping up? And I've had some help from some friends and some people that I've stayed connected with as best I can to realize that these coping strategies that I've been using over the last week, they're popping up because, bing, light bulb, I am really struggling with this right now. And I've started telling a few people, friends of mine or people at the church, a little bit about my experience. And it turns out I'm not the only one eating emotionally right now or ramping up the screen time in order to numb something that I'm feeling. I think a lot of us are really grappling for this because of this idea that we're all going through something that is a crisis and is traumatic. And we're trying to figure out what to do with this. So the more that I've been searching my own heart and my own spirit right now to really search, okay, what is it that's going on that's driving all of these different kind of behaviors, the more I'm realizing that this is coming from a very specific place. And there's a lot of places it's coming from, but one of them, the main one I think right now is, honestly, right now, I don't know what to do. I don't know. We didn't have a class in seminary about how to lead in church ministries during a global pandemic, believe it or not. I don't know what the most important thing is to be spending my time on, whether that's for ministry or even at home. This is such a strange time. I don't know what to do. It's really hard for me to figure out what are the priorities. And so I've been finding myself getting sucked into things that either aren't major priorities that are just occupying my mind space, or just really grappling and grasping at air of just like, man, I don't know what the most important thing is right now. I have to say, trying to be in ministry and connected in church life while confined to our spare bedroom is really uncomfortable, especially for an extrovert who really thrives on the connection with people. And the other side of this is that the uncertainty of not knowing what to do or how to spend my time has been so unbearable that unconsciously I was deciding that I'd rather numb away those feelings with a TV show or with another bowl of chili instead of really listening to what this feeling in my heart and in my spirit is really trying to tell me. So this week I've been trying to lean into it a little bit more, which is part of the reason that it's been hard. But part of what I think this is revealing to me, or what I might even say is what God is revealing to me in and through all of this, is this. I pride myself on knowing what to do and being capable. Also, I like control. And I really like depending on my own abilities. Those are comfortable spaces for me. And this is a situation that is not allowing me to do pretty much any of those things. This situation is largely outside of our control. Definitely it feels outside of my control. And it feels like there's all different kinds of ways that we could be responding or things that we could do. And that becomes really overwhelming. But the more time that I've been thinking about this and praying about this and then listening to some wise counsel from some folks that pour into me spiritually, this is where I'm beginning to land. That maybe I don't need to figure everything out right now. Maybe what's ultimately necessary for me is to show up to each day. Each individual day, to show up to that day and to be still long enough to hear the voice of God and to let God to reveal what needs to be done today. Here's where that comes from. I'm realizing I tend to want the 18-step action plan, knowing everywhere where we're going. I want to know where this is going before I'll get started on anything. I want to be able to wrap my head around it so that I can control it, and then I can figure out the way to make it happen. And of course, I think about that, and I realize that means if I only live from that space, I will always be limited to what I can wrap my head around. That's a pretty small limitation, especially when we have a God who can see a much bigger perspective than I am able to see. So I could try to craft the 18-step action plan and be limited, or I could ask God to simply reveal what is a way that I can respond to the needs of this day in Christian love, displaying the love and the kindness and the care of Jesus to people around me. What's a way that I could do that just today? Now, of course, in order to do that, it requires that I be still. And there's that story of Elijah on the mountaintop from 1 Kings 18 that reminds us that although there are times when God speaks to us in ways that feel like a mighty wind or an earthquake, God usually comes in the still, small voice, or sometimes even in the complete and utter silence. Another image that I've heard recently is more often than not, the Spirit comes to us not in a mighty wind, but in a light breeze. And we know the only way to really feel the lightest of breezes is to be completely still. So like I said, we're all experiencing different things right now. Maybe what this season is bringing to you means that you don't relate so much to what God is working on in me. Maybe God has something specific for your situation right now, and if you spent some time listening to God, you might hear what God has for you today. Or maybe there's parts of what I'm sharing that do resonate with your experience. Either way, my encouragement for you and for all of us would be to continue to find the still moments. Find that still moment to simply be with God, to be still enough for long enough to actually feel the light breeze of the Spirit. That light breeze of the Spirit that reminds you that God is with you, but also that light breeze of God revealing the simple step for you to take today. Who's the 2 or 3 people that you could call today? What's the one cause that you want to learn a little bit more about today to figure out how you could get connected in it? Listening for the movement of the Spirit to reveal just what is needed for today. This is not a moment to try to do it all and to get so overwhelmed that you end up doing nothing. See, in both of those instances, we're often probably thinking far too much and trying to think too far ahead. We're so overwhelmed that we try to do it all, or we're so overwhelmed that we don't want to do anything. Instead, just today. Just today. We pray in the prayer that Jesus taught us, give us this day our daily bread. We're reminded in the book of Lamentations that God's mercies are new each morning. Today has new mercies. Today has daily bread specifically for what we need for today. So for today, it's beautiful outside. I've got the light coming in on my window right here. It's super sunny. I'm not even seeing a cloud. I wonder if today, a simple thing, if you can get outside, go for a walk. Enjoy the weather that we're experiencing today. Or if you're so busy that you can't manage a whole walk, can you at least just stand in the sun for a moment? Maybe today it's just about showing up for your family, showing up with your family, whatever it is that they are bringing to you in this day. Maybe it's for you, it's showing up to whatever task you have at work or whatever it is that you need to do. Show up to what matters for this day, what is necessary. Tomorrow has enough troubles of its own. And by tomorrow, we'll have new mercies that will allow us to walk in what is ours to do in that day. So don't worry about tomorrow. Simply walk in what is yours to do today. So that's my encouragement for you and for all of us. I want to remind us, don't forget there are lots of ways that we can connect with one another. We are continuing our Sunday worship service at 10 a.m. Last week was our first time doing it through Zoom, and that allowed for a little bit more communication and connection with one another. I want to invite you to join that so that you can join the chat and even have some participation there. The stream is also going to be available on our website through YouTube or right there on our Facebook page, and so you can follow along live. I'm going to encourage you, if you can, join us live. It's helpful when we know that we're all together, and it helps to make it a priority to say, I'm going to be there for worship. I know it's not normal, it's not what we're typically doing, but try to build in some normalcy. Come to Sunday worship. You're going to be in your space, but you'll be able to join with us together. If you're not able to do that, all of that will be available afterwards as well, but we would love to have you join us. So don't forget about that. In addition to connecting on Sunday, there's our Wednesday Bible study, and there's other just ways that we are wanting to stay connected. And the other thing is just to please reach out. Comment on this post. Maybe tell a little bit about how you're doing. What, how good or how hard have things been for you lately? And just to be real and honest about that. Comment on that, send me an email, reach out to me if there's a way that we can connect with one another, that I can come alongside you and just bear witness to your experience in this. I want to be able to do that. So let's stay connected, friends. I miss you all, and have a great day today.